Millionaire CEO pretended to be poor and got rejected by 20 women on blind dates. But this one humble woman said yes. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. Marcus Chen was on his 20th blind date and ready to give up on love completely. Not because he wasn't attractive. At 32, he was actually considered one of the most eligible bachelors. The problem was his fortune, over $2.8 billion. And it seemed like all that did was attract women who were more interested in his credit card than his heart. This has to be the worst idea I've ever had, he muttered to himself, adjusting the cheap t-shirt his assistant James had picked up on clearance. His brilliant idea had been to pretend to be poor in order to find true love. For 2 weeks, he disguised himself as Mike Santos, an unemployed construction worker, and was rejected in increasingly creative ways by 19 different women. Jennifer ran off the moment she found out he was jobless. Amanda faked an asthma attack. And Patricia actually handed him $5 out of pity. Now, sitting in a cafe, Marcus was ready to throw in the towel. One last try, and then he'd go back to the world of shallow relationships. The 20th date was with someone named Sofia Mendez. She was 28 and worked as a gold prospector. Her profile picture showed a woman with a real smile, no filters, clearly taken outdoors. By 4:15 p.m., no one had shown up. Marcus started to stand when the cafe door suddenly burst open. A woman came running in like she was escaping a fire. Her brown hair was messy, her hands were covered in dirt, a smear of mud marked her right cheek, and her clothes looked like they had been through a battle. "Sorry," she shouted to the whole cafe. "Is there a Mike here?" Marcus stood up, a little stunned. I'm Mike." "Phew, thank goodness," she sighed, dropping a worn-out backpack onto a chair. "Sofia Mendez, nice to meet you. Sorry I'm late, and for the way I look. We had a little, cave-in at the site." "Cave-in?" Marcus asked, concerned. "Nothing serious." She waved it off, sending a bit more dirt flying. "Just a gallery wall that decided to collapse right when I was leaving. Good thing I'm short. I crawled right under it." Marcus looked her up and down. She looked like she had lost a wrestling match with the ground, but she was smiling like it was the most normal thing in the world. You're okay?" "Of course. Comes with the job," she shrugged. "Wow, this is a fancy place. Are you sure you can afford it? I can pay for mine. No problem." For the first time in 2 weeks, Marcus was caught off guard, in a good way. No, I can manage 2 coffees." "You sure?" "I know what it's like to be broke. I once lived off instant noodles for 2 months straight." Sofia walked up to the counter, and Marcus watched her greet the barista by name, ask about her son, and leave a generous tip, even though it was clear she was counting every penny. "All set," she returned with 2 coffees. "So, Mike, tell me, what do you do besides being between jobs right now?" The question was simple, but something about the way she asked it, without judgment, just genuine curiosity, completely disarmed Marcus. I work in construction, kind of rethinking life at the moment." "I get it." Sofia nodded, picking dirt from under her fingernails. "My dad always said sometimes life forces you to stop and find a new direction." "Was your dad a prospector too?" "He was," she said softly. "He died 5 years ago, work accident, but he taught me something important. Never judge someone by their bank account. Judge them by their character." Marcus felt something shift in his chest. "I'm sorry." "Thanks," she smiled. "But you know what's funny? After he died, a bunch of people came around wanting to help. They all tried to buy our land for next to nothing." "And did you sell?" Sofia nearly spit out her coffee, laughing. "No way. I decided to learn the trade myself. It was tough convincing the other prospectors that a 23-year-old girl knew what she was doing." "How did you pull it off?" "I proved I could do it. And also," she made a funny face, "I cook really well. Won them over with my food. My lasagna is legendary around here." Marcus laughed, really laughed, for the first time in weeks. "What else can you do besides cooking and prospecting?" "Oh, a bunch of useless stuff," Sofia said, counting on her dirt-streaked fingers. "I can imitate bird calls, make origami with napkins, name all the world capitals, and I have a 78-year-old grandma who's better than the FBI at investigating boyfriends." "What do you mean?" "Last week, she saw a man at the grocery store, thought he might be a good match for me and walked right up to him. She asked, "Do you have serious intentions with someone else's granddaughter?" Right there in front of everyone. Marcus burst out laughing. And what happened? The poor guy almost had a heart attack. But she got his phone number. Sophia said, making a face. "Now she's planning a casual dinner to introduce us. I'm gonna have to pretend I caught something contagious." They talked for 2 hours like old friends. Sophia shared funny stories about life at the mine, her matchmaking grandmother, and her dream of modernizing the small family business. For the first time in weeks, Marcus felt completely relaxed. He didn't have to impress anyone or make up stories. He could just be himself. "You're different from the other guys," Sophia said as they were getting ready to leave. "Different how?" "Most of them just talk about what they want to own. Cars, houses, status. You ask about things that really matter." Marcus smiled. "Maybe that's because you actually have interesting things to say." "Can I ask you something a little direct?" "Sure. Would you like to go out again? Maybe this weekend? I could cook for you. I promise it's better than diner coffee." Marcus's heart raced. After 19 rejections, someone finally wanted a second date. "I'd love to." "Great." Sophia stood up and slung her worn-out backpack over her shoulder. "Do you have a car or do you need a ride? My pickup's from 2010, but it runs just fine." Marcus hesitated for a second. His Porsche was parked 2 blocks away. "I have a car, thank you." "Perfect. Here's my address," she said, scribbling on a napkin. "Saturday at 7. And Mike?" "Yes? Come hungry. My lasagna puts people in a food coma." She walked out waving, and Marcus stood on the sidewalk, grinning like a fool. For the first time in 2 weeks, he felt truly happy. What he didn't notice was the woman across the street, dressed elegantly in sunglasses, who had just taken photos of the entire scene. Isabella Chen tucked her phone away with a cold smile. Her older brother was clearly up to something strange. And if Marcus wanted to pretend he was poor, she was going to find out exactly why. Saturday came faster than Marcus expected, and he found himself standing in front of the bathroom mirror, trying to decide whether he was nervous or excited. Probably both. "Mr. Marcus, are you sure you don't want me to go with you?" James asked for the 3rd time, straightening up the poor man clothes in the closet. "James, it's just a dinner, not a spy mission." "With all due respect, sir, after 2 weeks of pretending to be a construction worker, I'd say it's exactly a spy mission." Marcus sighed and put on a flannel shirt that cost less than the tip he usually left at restaurants. "This is different. Sophia is real." "Real?" "She's not interested in what I have. She doesn't even know what I have." James gave him a skeptical look. "And when do you plan to tell her?" "When the time is right," Marcus said, picking up the keys to the borrowed Honda Civic. Which could be never. Sophia's address took Marcus to a part of Dallas he had never been to. Small houses, older cars, tidy but modest yards. It felt like stepping into another world. Sophia's house was a light blue bungalow with a porch full of plants. Before Marcus could knock, she opened the door with a big smile. "Mike, right on time," she said, wearing a simple floral dress that made her look even more beautiful. "Come in. Come in. I hope you like lasagna because I made enough to feed a small army." The inside of the house felt cozy in a way Marcus's mansion never had. The furniture was old but well cared for, family photos lined the walls, and a wonderful smell was coming from the kitchen. "Wow, what a warm place," Marcus said sincerely. "Thank you. It's small, but it's mine. I inherited it from my grandmother when she moved to assisted living. She couldn't handle the stairs anymore, so—" Sophia gestured vaguely. "Now she lives in a 1-story house closer to the city. You take good care of her. She raised me after my parents died. It's the least I can do." Marcus felt silly for ever complaining about his own family issues. During dinner, they talked about everything. Sophia shared her plans to expand the mining operation, bring in more modern technology, and create jobs for the community. "Want to know my crazy dream?" she asked, serving him a second helping of lasagna. "I want to open a technical school here in the area. Teach people how to work with modern equipment, focus on safety, even basic management." "That's not a crazy dream," Marcus said. "It's a necessary one." "Do you really think so?" "Most people say it's a waste of time, that folks around here aren't cut out for that kind of thing." Marcus felt angry at whoever had said that. Those people are wrong. Completely wrong. Sophia smiled, and Marcus realized he was falling in love, truly, for the first time in his life. After dinner, they went out to the porch. The sky was clear, and Sophia pointed to the stars, sharing the stories her father used to tell about the constellations. "My dad used to say stars are like people," she said. "Some shine brighter, some are quieter, but they're all important to make the sky whole." He sounds like a wise man. He was. Also stubborn as a mule and sang in the shower so loud the neighbors could hear, she laughed. But he was the best man I ever knew. Marcus was about to say something romantic when his phone rang. He glanced at the screen. It was his driver. "Sorry, I need to take this. It's my boss." "No problem, I'll get more tea." Marcus answered in a low voice. "Carlos? What is it?" "Sir, the meeting for tomorrow has been moved to tonight. The Japanese investors are only available now." "What meeting?" Marcus asked, confused. "The expansion project into Asia. $50 million, sir." Marcus looked through the window and saw Sophia in the kitchen, humming as she poured the tea. 50 million felt a lot less important at that moment. "Cancel it, or move it to Monday." "Sir? You heard me. I'm busy." When Sophia came back with the tea, Marcus was putting his phone away. "Everything okay with your boss?" "All good, he's on his own tonight." They stayed on the porch talking and laughing until almost midnight. When Marcus finally said he had to go, Sophia walked him to the gate. "Thanks for the most fun weekend I've had in a long time," she said. "Thank you for being you." They looked at each other for a moment, and Marcus leaned in to kiss her cheek. At the last second, Sophia turned, and the kiss landed on the corner of her mouth. "Oops," she laughed, blushing. "Oops," Marcus echoed with a smile. He was walking to his car when he heard Sophia call out, "Mike! Wait!" Marcus turned to see Sophia running toward him barefoot. "I forgot to give you my cell number." She pulled a pen from her bag and wrote the number on his palm. "There. Now you have no excuse not to call." Marcus smiled and got into the Honda Civic, waving through the window as he drove away. 3 blocks later, he stopped at a gas station to switch cars. Carlos was waiting with the Porsche. "How was the date, sir?" "Perfect," Marcus said as he quickly changed clothes. "Absolutely perfect." He was putting away the flannel shirt when he saw a red pickup pass by. Marcus looked again and recognized Sophia behind the wheel. Panic. Sophia had stopped at the light and was looking straight at him, getting out of a shiny new Porsche, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her yearly salary. Marcus waved awkwardly. Sophia kept staring for a few seconds. Then the light turned green, and she drove off. His phone rang immediately. "Hi, Mike. It's Sophia. What a coincidence running into you just now." "Hi. What a coincidence. Listen, I don't mean to pry, but was that you getting out of a Porsche just now?" Marcus panicked and blurted out the first thing that came to mind. "Oh yeah, it belongs to my boss. I'm, his personal driver sometimes. You know, just to make some extra cash." "I see," Sophia said, though her tone had changed slightly. "And is your boss a nice guy?" "He's a complicated man. Very full of himself, you know? Rich, arrogant, thinks he's better than everyone." "Wow, that must be tough to work for someone like that." "It's not fun," Marcus admitted, hating every word, "but the pay helps." "Of course, we'll talk to you soon. It was nice hearing from you again." "You too." Marcus hung up and rested his forehead on the steering wheel. "Problem, sir?" Carlos asked. "Carlos, I just called myself a stuck-up jerk to the woman I'm in love with." "Interesting strategy, sir." "It's not a strategy, it's desperation." Marcus drove home wondering how he was going to explain that lie. But one thing he knew for sure. He couldn't lose Sophia. She was the best thing that had happened to him in years. The following Monday, Sophia called with a proposal that made him both excited and terrified. "Mike, how about seeing where I work? Don't worry, I won't make you carry any rocks, but I think it'd be nice for you to see my world." Marcus agreed right away, without thinking about the consequences. 2 hours later, he was driving the Honda Civic down a dirt road that seemed to go on forever, following Sophia's directions over the phone. "When you see a sign that says private property, no trespassing, you've arrived," she had said, laughing. The Mendez family's mining site was very different from what Marcus had imagined. It wasn't a huge operation like the ones his company usually funded, but it was organized, clean, and clearly run with care. Sophia greeted him wearing a yellow helmet and rubber boots, looking completely in her element. "Welcome to my office," she said, motioning to the excavation sites around them. "It's not very glamorous, but it pays the bills." Marcus looked around, genuinely fascinated. He had never seen a mining operation up close, and the creative homemade solutions really impressed him. "How did you learn to do all this?" "My dad taught me when I was a little girl, and after he passed, the other miners around here helped me out." "People here really support each other," Sophia said, pointing to a group of workers. "That's João over there. He's our equipment expert. Carla's our self-taught geologist. And Toninho? Well, Toninho's specialty is making coffee strong enough to wake the dead." An older woman appeared at the door of a small house on the property, waving energetically. "That's my Grandma Maria," Sophia called out. "Come on, you've got to meet her, but fair warning, she'll interrogate you like you're a murder suspect." Grandma Maria was 78 years old, 5 feet tall, and had the commanding presence of a general. Her sharp little eyes scanned Marcus from head to toe in 3 seconds. "So you're Mike," she said, as if she were identifying a new type of insect. "Interesting. Nice to meet you, ma'am," Marcus said, holding out his hand. She shook it, frowning. "Your hands are too soft for a construction worker." Marcus swallowed hard. I've been out of work for a while, and even unemployed you use hand lotion?" Grandma Maria raised an eyebrow. "Grandma?" Sophia jumped in. "Leave him alone. Not everyone likes sandpaper hands." "I'm just making an observation, dear," Grandma Maria replied, but her eyes stayed fixed on Marcus. "He's not ordinary." "Not ordinary how?" Sophia asked, still figuring that out. Sophia took Marcus on a full tour of the site, explaining every part of the process with contagious energy. Marcus tried to help by carrying a few buckets, but it was obvious he had never done any physical labor in his life. "Mike, you're holding that like it's about to explode." Sophia laughed, watching him struggle with a bucket of water. "Sorry, I'm not used to this." "What kind of construction work did you say you did?" João asked, appearing out of nowhere. Administrative. More paperwork than actual labor." "Got it," João said, clearly not buying it. In the span of 20 minutes, Marcus managed to drop 3 buckets, trip over a hose, and nearly fall into a hole. Sophia found it hilarious. "You are officially the least coordinated person I've ever met," she said, helping him up after his 4th stumble. "Sorry, I'm a little out of shape." "Out of shape? Mike, it looks like you've never even seen dirt before." At lunchtime, Sophia brought him to a wooden table under a tree where Grandma Maria had made sandwiches for everyone. "Sit here," Sophia said, pulling out a chair. "I want to show you something." She took a box of old photos from her bag and handled them carefully. "These are pictures of my dad working here. He started from scratch, you know. My grandparents were really poor, and he swore he'd give his family a better life." Marcus looked at the photos of a man who clearly loved what he did, smiling even when covered in dirt. "He looks like he was really happy." He was. Even on the hard days, he said he'd rather be in charge of his own future than work for someone who didn't respect his dignity, Sophia said, pointing to a photo of her dad teaching her how to use a machine. "He always told me, Sophia, money you earn, but respect, you earn that with who you are." Marcus felt a lump in his throat. He was right. "That's why I'll never sell this place, no matter how many offers come in or how much money they offer. This is his legacy." Marcus was about to respond when a government car pulled up to the edge of the mining site. A well-dressed woman in a fancy suit and dark sunglasses stepped out, holding a clipboard. "Excuse me," she called. "I'm from the Regional Social Services Department. I need to do a routine inspection." Sophia frowned. "That's strange. We've never had an inspection before." The woman walked closer, and Marcus almost choked on his sandwich. It was Isabella, his sister. "I'm the social worker." Maria da Silva," Isabella said, clearly nervous. "I need to check the working conditions and other things." Sophia stood up, suspicious. "What kind of other things?" "Well, checking if there are any irregularities or suspicious people working here." Isabella looked directly at Marcus, who started to sweat. "And you are?" Sophia asked Isabella. "I'm Maria, I told you, Maria da Santos." "Maria da Silva Santos?" Sophia repeated, skeptical. "It's a compound name, very compound." Marcus realized he had to do something before Isabella messed everything up. Actually, he said, standing up, she's my cousin. Your cousin? Sophia and Isabella said at the same time. Yeah, my cousin Maria, on my mother's side. Very complicated family. Complicated how? Sophia asked. Marcus panicked and started making things up. Well, my aunt married a guy named Silva, then got divorced and married a Santos, but kept both last names. And Maria here has always been a little odd. Odd? Isabella hissed. In a good way, Marcus added quickly. She always wanted to be a social worker. Since she was little, she used to pretend she was inspecting her dollhouse. Sophia looked from Marcus to Isabella, clearly confused. And why do you two look alike? Genetics, Marcus and Isabella said together. Strong genetics, Marcus added. Very similar family. Grandma Maria, who had been watching the whole thing in silence, stood up and said dryly, Strange family, this one. Isabella stuck around for another 10 minutes, trying to keep up the act, but she was clearly out of her element. She finally made up an excuse about needing to inspect other places and left. Your cousin is interesting, Sophia said once Isabella was gone. Yeah, she's always been kind of different. And since when do social workers do inspections wearing designer high heels? Marcus looked at Sophia, who was smiling in a way that showed she knew something wasn't right. Yeah, she's always been a little too into appearances. Mike, Sophia said, stepping closer to him, do you want to tell me what's really going on? Marcus looked into her eyes and almost told her everything. Almost. Nothing's going on, just a crazy family being, well, crazy. Sophia studied him for a few seconds, then nodded. Okay, but just know, when you're ready to tell the truth, I'll be here. Marcus smiled, feeling even worse for lying to her. But one thing was clear. Isabella had found out where he was, and that could only mean trouble. Sophia stepped closer and kissed him softly, cutting off his confession. Mike, whatever it is you want to tell me, it can wait. Right now, I just want you to know you're not alone, okay? Marcus looked into her eyes and felt something break inside his chest. For the first time in his life, someone loved him without knowing who he really was. Sophia, would you like to be my girlfriend? I thought you'd never ask, she laughed, leaning into his arm. The next few days were the happiest of Marcus's life. For the first time, he experienced what a real relationship felt like, one without financial interest or social pressure. Sophia took him to places he had never been before, local markets, roadside diners, community festivals. Marcus discovered the simple joy of holding hands with someone who truly liked him. On their first weekend as a couple, Sophia took him fishing at a lake near the mining site. Have you ever gone fishing? She asked, setting up the rods. Not exactly, Marcus lied. He had gone fishing a few times on the family yacht, but that didn't count. It's relaxing. My dad used to bring me here when I was little. They spent the whole afternoon without catching a single fish, but Marcus didn't care. He was too busy watching Sophia tell stories, laugh at her own jokes, and make sarcastic remarks about his complete lack of skill with a fishing rod. Mike, you're holding that like it's a poisonous snake, she laughed when he almost got tangled in his own hook. Sorry, still learning. That's okay, it's fun watching you try. In their second week of dating, Sophia taught him how to make lasagna from scratch. The secret is making the dough by hand, she said, both of them covered in flour in her kitchen. You have to feel the texture. Marcus, who had eaten in 5-star restaurants all over the world, had never had so much fun cooking, mostly because Sophia thought it was hilarious to watch him struggle with basic ingredients. You've never cracked an egg before? She asked, stunned. I always ate out or ordered delivery. My God, Mike, you're kind of useless, huh? She said, but she was laughing. I am. Completely useless. Lucky for you, I like useless guys. In the third week, Marcus took Sophia to dinner at a slightly more expensive restaurant, not too fancy, but definitely above her usual budget. Mike, are you sure you can afford this? She whispered, looking at the menu. I got a temp job, he lied. Installing security systems. It pays well. That's great, Sophia smiled. But next time, let's go to Joao's place. The food's better and costs a third of this. During dinner, she talked about her plans to expand the mining site, the trade school she wanted to build, and how she wanted to improve life for the whole community. You know what impresses me most about you? Marcus asked. What? You don't dream small. Most people want more money for themselves. You want more money to help everyone else. That's because I know what it's like to need help and not have it, Sophia said simply. When my dad died, if it weren't for the community, I wouldn't have made it. Now it's my turn to give back. Marcus fell even more in love with her. In the 4th week, they went to a country music festival in the next town. Sophia wore a simple floral dress and cowboy boots, and Marcus thought she'd never looked more beautiful. "Do you know how to dance country?" she asked when the band started playing. "No idea," Marcus admitted. "Come on, I'll teach you." They danced for hours, Marcus stepping on Sophia's feet more times than he could count, but she laughed at every misstep. "You're getting better," she lied shamelessly when he managed 3 steps without stumbling. "You're a terrible liar," Marcus laughed. "I am, but you're trying, and that's what matters." During a slower song, Sophia rested her head on Marcus's shoulder. "Mike? Yes? I love you." Marcus stopped dancing for a moment and looked at her. "I love you too," he said. And for the first time, he truly meant it. They kissed in the middle of the dance floor while the music played and people danced all around them. Marcus had never been happier in his life. Meanwhile, across town, Isabella was in the office of a private investigator who had clearly seen better days. "So, Mrs. Chen, what exactly do you want me to look into?" asked Rodrigo Carvalho, a man in his 50s with a questionable mustache and a drawer full of empty beer cans. "My brother's acting very strange. Pretending to be poor, dating some minor girl." "Aha!" Rodrigo wrote something down. "Classic midlife crisis." "It's not a midlife crisis. He's the CEO of Chen Industries. He can't go around pretending to be someone else." "Got it. You want me to follow him?" "I want you to find out everything about this Sofia Mendez, and I want detailed reports about where my brother goes, what he does, and who he talks to." "That'll cost $3,000 a week." "I don't care about the price." A week later, Isabella received Rodrigo's first report. She opened it expecting useful information and found, "Confidential report. Subject Marcus Chen. Weekly notes, Monday, subject bought coffee at 3 different places. Possible caffeine addiction. Tuesday, subject stood in front of a clothing store for 20 minutes. Possible fashion identity crisis. Wednesday, subject talked to a lamppost. Possible schizophrenia. Thursday, subject seen entering a house with a woman. Suspicious activity confirmed. Friday, subject bought flowers. Very suspicious. Rich men don't buy flowers. Conclusion, subject has clearly lost his mind. Isabella called Rodrigo immediately. "What is this garbage?" "My professional investigation, ma'am. You wrote that my brother talked to a lamppost. I saw it with my own eyes. He stopped, talked to the post for 5 minutes, then walked away." "He was on the phone, you idiot." "Oh," Rodrigo paused. "That makes more sense." Isabella hung up the phone, ready to throw it against the wall. A few days later, Sophia was at the mining site, trying to understand why she'd been feeling strange for the past few days. First, it was mild dizziness at work. Then morning nausea she blamed on something she ate. But when she started feeling sick from the smell of coffee, her favorite drink, Grandma Maria asked the question Sophia had been avoiding. "Sophia, when was your last, Sophia froze and looked at her grandmother, her face going pale. "Grandma, you're not thinking." "I'm thinking you and that Mike have been spending a lot of time together lately." Sophia did the math in her head. They'd been dating for a month, and, oh my God. "You better make sure, dear." That afternoon, Sophia was at the pharmacy, holding a pregnancy test with trembling hands. "It's just a test," she whispered to herself. "It might be negative." Deep down, she already knew the answer. She knew her own body too well not to recognize the signs. While waiting in line at the pharmacy, Sophia thought about Marcus, about Mike. How would he react? They had only been dating for a month. It was way too soon for this kind of complication. But at the same time, she couldn't help a small smile. If it was true, it would be a baby made with love. And that was already more than many children ever got. Sophia came home with the pregnancy test hidden in her purse like it was something illegal. Grandma Maria was in the kitchen making tea, and from the way she looked at her granddaughter, it was obvious she already knew where Sophia had been. "So?" she asked, getting straight to the point. "I haven't taken it yet," Sophia mumbled, tossing her purse on the couch. "And why not?" "Because..." Because if it's positive, everything's going to change, and if it's negative, I'll just feel weird. Grandma Maria stopped stirring the tea and looked at Sophia with that face that said, "Don't give me nonsense." "Sweetheart, not taking the test won't change the truth. If you're pregnant, you're pregnant. That little paper won't change anything." "I know, Grandma, but I just need one more day, just to prepare myself." "And Mike? Does he know you're suspicious?" "No," Sophia said a little too quickly. "I want to be sure before saying anything. Can you imagine the panic if I told him and it turned out to be a false alarm?" Grandma Maria nodded, but the look in her eyes said she thought Sophia was just scared. On the other side of town, Marcus was having his own crisis at the office. For 4 weeks he'd been living a lie, and each day it was getting harder to keep the act up. "James, I need to tell her the truth," he said for the 10th time that week. "Mr. Marcus, with all due respect, you've been saying that for 2 weeks and you still haven't done it. It's complicated. The longer I wait, the worse it gets. How am I supposed to explain that I've been lying about who I am for 2 months? Maybe start with, Sophia, there's something important I need to tell you?" Marcus winced. "It's not that simple." "Can I ask you something, sir? Are you afraid of losing her?" "I'm terrified," Marcus admitted. "She's the first person who loves me for who I am, not for what I have. What if she finds out I'm a billionaire and thinks the whole thing was a lie?" "Wasn't it?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Maybe at the start, but now I can't imagine my life without her." The phone rang, interrupting the conversation. It was Sophia. "Mike, are you free for dinner tonight? I was thinking of cooking something special." "Of course, what time?" 7 o'clock. "And Mike, I love you." "I love you too." Marcus hung up smiling, but his stomach was in knots. Tonight was going to be the night. He was going to tell her everything. Sophia spent the entire afternoon cooking like she was preparing a Last Supper. She made Marcus's favorite dish, dessert, even bought wine, but didn't serve it because just the smell made her nauseous. Right at 7, Marcus arrived with flowers and that smile that always melted her heart. "Wow, something smells amazing," he said, kissing her. "What are we celebrating?" "Nothing really. I just wanted to do something special for you," Sophia lied. In truth, she wanted one perfect night before possibly turning everything upside down. During dinner, both of them were clearly nervous. Marcus was trying to find the courage to confess, while Sophia was struggling with waves of nausea that kept coming and going. "Sophia, there's something I need to tell you," Marcus finally said. "I also have something to tell you," she replied at the same time. They both laughed nervously. "You go first," Marcus said. "No, you go. Yours sounds more serious." Marcus took a deep breath. "Sophia, do you remember when we met and I told you I was—" "Mike, are you okay?" Sophia interrupted, noticing he was sweating. "I'm fine, why? You look kind of pale." Sophia stood to get some water, and suddenly the room began to spin. The last thing she saw was Marcus's terrified face before everything went dark. "Sophia!" Marcus shouted, dropping to the floor to catch her. "Sophia, wake up! Please wake up!" With shaking hands, he grabbed his phone and called emergency services. "Hello? I need an ambulance. My girlfriend passed out and she's not waking up." 10 minutes that felt like 10 hours later, the ambulance arrived. Marcus climbed in with her, holding her hand the entire ride. "Is she going to be okay?" he asked the paramedics every 30 seconds. "Sir, you need to stay calm. We'll get to the hospital and find out what's going on." At the hospital, Marcus paced the waiting room like a caged lion. When the doctor finally came out, he practically jumped on him. "How is she? What happened? Is she going to be okay?" "Calm down, sir." The doctor looked at his chart. "Mr. Santos?" Yes. How's Sophia?" "She's doing well. It was just a fainting spell caused by, well, congratulations. You're going to be parents." Marcus stood there in silence for a full 10 seconds. "What do you mean, parents?" "Your girlfriend is pregnant, around 6 weeks along. Fainting is common, especially if she hasn't been eating properly or is under stress." "Pregnant," Marcus repeated, like he was hearing a new word for the first time. "Can I see her?" "Of course. Room 304. She's awake and waiting for you." Marcus rushed up the stairs, his heart pounding so fast he thought he might pass out himself. When he entered the room, Sophia was sitting up in bed, pale but smiling nervously. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi," he replied, walking slowly toward her. "How are you feeling?" Pregnant, apparently, she said with a shaky laugh. Surprise! Marcus sat on the edge of the bed and took her hand. Sophia, are you upset? She asked quickly. Because I'd understand if you are. We've only been together a month and… Upset? Marcus cut her off. Sophia, I'm happy. Terrified, but happy. Really, I love you. And now, I'm going to love our baby too. Sophia started to cry, and Marcus pulled her into a hug, his heart pounding with a mix of love and fear. Mike, I was so scared to tell you. You never have to be scared to tell me anything, Marcus said, gently stroking her hair, ever. This should have been the moment he told her the truth. But looking at Sophia, pregnant and vulnerable in his arms, Marcus just couldn't. Not now. Across town, Isabella was in Rodrigo's office, finally getting some useful information. I found something interesting about your brother, Rodrigo said, laying out some photos. He's definitely dating the gold digger, and more than that, I found out he's using fake documents. What do you mean? The name Mike Santos doesn't exist. It's a completely made-up identity. Isabella gave a cold smile. Go on. There's more. I got access to his bank records. Over the last 2 months, he's spent less than $2,000. For someone who usually drops that in a night, that's very suspicious. So he really is pretending to be poor. Exactly. And from the way she looks at him in these photos, the gold digger has no idea who he really is. Isabella stood up, satisfied. Thank you, Rodrigo. You've done your part. The next morning, Isabella was waiting in Marcus's office when he walked in, still wearing rumpled clothes from the hospital. Isabella, what are you doing here? Waiting for my big brother to explain why he's pretending to be someone else. Marcus froze. I don't know what you're talking about. Mike Santos? Seriously, Marcus? That's the best fake name you could come up with? Isabella, don't lie to me. I know everything. The disguise, the gold digger, the whole act. Marcus sank into a chair. How did you find out? That doesn't matter. What matters is that you stop this nonsense right now. I'm not going to. Yes, you are. Because if you don't, I'll tell her who you really are. You wouldn't do that. Isabella gave him a cold smile. Try me. You have 48 hours to break up with her and come back to reality, or I'll tell her everything. Isabella, you don't understand. I love her. You love the idea of her. But her? She's in love with a man who doesn't exist. That's not true, isn't it? Then tell her who you really are. Call her right now and say you're a billionaire. Let's see how long this true love lasts. Marcus stayed silent, because deep down he knew Isabella had a point. Sophia had fallen for Mike Santos, not Marcus Chen. You have 48 hours, Marcus. Choose the family business or a fantasy that's going to end sooner or later. Isabella walked out, leaving Marcus alone with the hardest decision of his life. And now, there was a baby involved. Isabella didn't waste any time. Within 24 hours, she had set in motion the cruelest plan she'd ever made. Using media contacts and digital editing experts, she created fake evidence that looked completely real. Photos of Marcus at social events were edited to show a classy blonde woman at his side. Fake legal documents showing an official engagement between Marcus Chen and Victoria Hamilton, the daughter of an oil tycoon. Even made-up gossip articles about the wedding of the year scheduled for 6 months from now. Everything perfectly edited. Completely believable. Totally fake. By Wednesday morning, Lucy, Isabella's assistant, showed up at the mining site dressed as a journalist, carrying a camera and a folder full of evidence. Sofia Mendez, she said, walking up. I'm Julia Rodriguez from Social Dallas magazine. I need to speak with you about Marcus Chen. Sophia, who was organizing some equipment, looked confused. I don't know any Marcus Chen. Of course you do, Lucy said with a cold smile. You know him as Mike Santos. Sophia's blood ran cold. I have some information you might want to know about the man you're dating. Isabella opened the folder and showed her the edited photos, Marcus in expensive tuxedos, hugging a stunning woman, clearly at high society events. This is your boyfriend, Marcus Chen, CEO of Chen Industries. Estimated net worth, $2.8 billion. Sophia took the photos with trembling hands. This can't be real. And there's more, Lucy said, showing her the fake documents. He's been engaged for 2 years. The wedding is set for December. You're lying, Sophia said, though her voice lacked conviction. Why would I lie? Look at the photos. That's him, isn't it? Sophia looked again. It was Marcus, no doubt about it, but not the Marcus she knew. This was a man from a completely different world, living a completely different life. He told me he was an unemployed construction worker. Looks like he lied. The question is, what else did he lie about? 2 hours later, Sophia stood at Marcus's door, holding the photos, her chest tight with a mix of anger and heartbreak. When he opened the door, smiling like he always did when he saw her, she exploded. "Who is Victoria Hamilton?" Marcus's smile vanished instantly. "Sophia, I can explain." "Explain?" she yelled, throwing the photos in his face. "You want to explain why you've been engaged to another woman for 2 years?" Marcus looked at the photos, confused. "Sophia, this isn't what? Isn't you? Because it's clearly you in those pictures." "It is, but you lied to me." Sophia was crying now, the pain and anger spilling out. "You made up your whole life. An unemployed construction worker? Mike Santos? All lies." "Sophia, please, let me explain. Those photos aren't—" "And I'm pregnant," she shouted. "I'm pregnant by a man who doesn't even exist." Marcus tried to step closer. "Sophia, please listen." "No," she pulled back. "Don't touch me. You're engaged to someone else. You've been hiding a whole life from me." "I'm not engaged. Those pictures are fake." "Fake?" Sophia laughed bitterly. "Of course you'd say that. What else is fake? Your feelings for me too?" "Never," Marcus shouted back. "My feelings are the only real thing in this entire mess." "How am I supposed to believe anything you say? You lied about everything." Sophia started walking toward her truck, Marcus following her. "Sophia, please, let me explain. Those photos were edited. I never—" "Enough, Marcus." She stopped and looked at him, tears in her eyes. "Or Mike, or whatever your real name is. I can't take any more lies. My name is Marcus, and I'm the same man you love." "You think so?" Sophia gave a sad laugh. "Because the man I love never existed. It was all something you made up." She got in the truck and Marcus knocked on the window. "Sophia, please, think about our baby." Sophia lowered the window just a bit. "Our baby will grow up knowing the truth, unlike his mother, who was foolish enough to believe in fairy tales." She drove away, leaving Marcus standing alone on the street, heartbroken. Isabella had watched everything from a distance, smiling with satisfaction. When Marcus returned home, she was waiting in the living room. "Looks like you won't need the full 48 hours, she said calmly. "You did this?" Marcus shouted. "You planted those fake photos. I just sped up the inevitable. She would have found out eventually." "Isabella, you destroyed the only good thing I had in my life. I saved our company from the shame of having a CEO married to an uneducated gold digger." Marcus looked at his sister with so much hatred, she stepped back. "Do you know what you just did?" he said, his voice dangerously calm. "You just lost your brother." "Marcus, don't be dramatic. I'm resigning. From the company, from the inheritance, from all of it, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to win back the woman I love." "You can't do that." "Yes, I can, and I will." Marcus went upstairs, leaving Isabella alone, slowly realizing that her so-called victory may have cost far more than she ever imagined. Marcus didn't sleep for 3 days. After officially resigning from Chen Industries, sending Isabella into a full panic, he packed his things and went straight to the mining community where Sophia lived. But when he arrived, it was clear he wasn't welcome. "You're the jerk who lied to our Sophia," said Joao, standing in front of the entrance with his arms crossed. "Joao, I need to talk to her. I need to explain." "Explain what? That you're a rich liar who played with her heart?" Marcus looked around and saw that other workers had joined Joao. They were all glaring at him with hostility. "Please, just 5 minutes." "You're not welcome here," said Carla, the geologist. "Sophia cried for 2 days straight because of you." "She told you everything?" "She said the man she loved didn't even exist. That it was all a lie. That she's pregnant with a ghost." Marcus felt like a knife had been driven through his chest. "Where is she?" "Working. Even though she's pregnant and heartbroken, she's working. Unlike some spoiled rich boys, she has responsibilities." Marcus managed to get around the group and found Sophia in a more remote area of the mining site, operating a sediment sifting machine. Even from a distance, he could see she looked thinner, pale, but working with the same determination as always. She was pregnant with his child and still working hard under the burning sun. Marcus hid behind some trees and watched her for an hour. Every now and then, Sophia would stop to rest, gently placing her hand on her still small belly, then go right back to work. Her expression was focused, just like he remembered, but there was deep sadness in her eyes. "Admiring your work?" a cold voice said behind him. Marcus turned and saw Grandma Maria, arms crossed, with a look sharp enough to kill. "Mrs. Maria, save it. You're a coward who played with my granddaughter like she was a toy." "That's not true. I love her." "Love?" Grandma Maria let out a bitter laugh. "You call that love? Lying about who you are? Making her fall for a fake man?" "I didn't mean for it to happen this way. Things got out of control and you didn't have the courage to tell the truth. Not even when you found out she was pregnant." Marcus looked down, ashamed. "You know what's the saddest part?" Grandma Maria continued. "She really loved you, the Mike Santos you made up. She loved a man who was honest, hardworking, and respectful. That man was never real." "I can be that man. I gave up the company, left my whole life behind. For what? To keep pretending? To keep playing a part? No, to finally be myself for the first time." Grandma Maria studied him for a long moment. "You want to prove you've changed? That you're worthy of my granddaughter?" "Yes. Anything." "Then tell the truth, admit your lies, and ask for forgiveness." Marcus swallowed hard. "And if I do that, will you help me show Sophia that I truly love her?" "If you do that, I'll believe there might be a small chance you deserve to try." On Sunday morning, Marcus stood in the town square. The open-air market was full. The whole community gathered. He saw Sophia across the square, selling handmade crafts to earn some extra money. Marcus climbed up on a wooden crate in the middle of the square and shouted, "Excuse me, may I have everyone's attention?" The chatter stopped. Sophia looked at him, surprised and furious. "My name is Marcus Chen, not Mike Santos. I lied to all of you." Shocked murmurs spread through the crowd. "I'm the CEO of a billion-dollar company. I pretended to be poor to find true love, and in the process I hurt the most amazing woman I've ever met." Sophia didn't move, but tears were running down her face. "I'm a coward, a liar, and the worst part is, when Sophia gave me the chance to tell the truth, I didn't have the courage, even knowing she was pregnant with my child." Now the crowd was completely silent. "I don't deserve her forgiveness, but I want you all to know, Sophia Mendez is the most honest, brave, and generous woman I've ever known, and I destroyed that with my lies." Marcus stepped down from the crate, humiliated, but somehow lighter. Sophia stared at him for a long moment, then turned and walked away. But for the first time in a week, she didn't run, she just walked. And for Marcus, that felt like a ray of hope. 3 days after Marcus's public confession, Sophia was working near the unloading area when a truck was backing up to dump gravel. The driver, distracted by his phone, didn't see that Sophia was crouched behind the truck, checking a piece of equipment. "Sophia, move!" João shouted when he saw the truck still backing up. Sophia looked up and saw the rear bumper just feet away. For a second, she froze. The driver couldn't see her in the mirrors. Marcus, who had just arrived, saw her and didn't think twice. He ran straight toward Sophia and dove, pushing her out of the way with force. They rolled together on the ground, Marcus instinctively shielding her with his body. The truck passed within inches of where they had been just seconds before. "Stop the truck!" several workers shouted. The driver finally slammed the brakes and jumped out, panicked. "My God, I didn't see her. I didn't see anyone." Marcus got up quickly, checking Sophia. "Are you hurt?" Sophia was in shock, breathing heavily. I don't think so." "Marcus, is the baby okay?" he asked, helping her sit up. "I think so," she said, placing her hand on her belly. "You saved me." Marcus had scraped his arm and leg on the gravel, but he didn't care. "Are you sure you're all right? Let's go to the hospital, just to be safe." "No need. Sophia, please, for the baby," she nodded, still shaken. At the hospital, after the exams, the doctor confirmed that both Sophia and the baby were fine. "Just a scare, no damage." "You were lucky," the doctor said, "but it's a good idea to stay for observation a few hours, just to be sure." When they were alone in the room, Sophia looked at Marcus, curious why he was there. "Why were you at the mining site?" "I was hoping for a chance to talk to you." "Marcus, I know you asked me to leave, but I couldn't. I couldn't walk away knowing you're pregnant and maybe never see you again." Sophia sighed. "Marcus, I need to ask you something, and I want the full truth this time. Anything. Why did you really pretend to be poor? And don't give me some rehearsed answer. I want to know what was really going through your mind." Marcus sat in the chair next to the bed. Because I felt like a ghost in my own life. What do you mean? Sophia, have you ever thought about what it's like to never know if people truly like you? Since I was a kid, I only saw interest in people's eyes when they found out my last name. Friends who used me to impress their parents, girlfriends who changed completely when they saw my house. And you thought it would be the same with me? I was afraid it would be. Because you are too perfect to be true. A beautiful woman, smart, with character, who cares about people. I thought, if she finds out I'm a billionaire, she'll start acting different, like all the others. Sophia studied him. And when did you realize you were wrong? The moment you offered your savings when you thought I was in trouble. No woman in my life ever cared if I had enough money for anything. You worried if I could even pay for a coffee. And yet you kept lying. Because I panicked. How was I going to explain 2 months of lies? How was I going to say, "Hi, Sophia, I'm actually a billionaire," and pretended to be poor to test you? It sounded horrible even in my head. Sophia was quiet for a few minutes. Marcus, you made me fall in love with someone who doesn't exist. That's not true, he said firmly. The man who danced with you, who tried to help at the mining site and was a disaster, who laughed at your stories, who loves you more than life itself. That man exists. That's me. But you lied about everything else. I lied about money and my name. I didn't lie about my feelings. Every I love you was real. Every happy moment with you was real. Sophia looked at him with teary eyes. How will I trust you again? How will I know you're not lying about other things? Because from now on, you'll know everything about me. Bank accounts, properties, family, past, everything. No secrets. And what if I decide I don't want to try again? Marcus felt his chest tighten. Then I'll respect that. But Sophia, our child deserves a father who is present. Even if you don't want me as a husband, let me be a dad. Sophia rested her head on the pillow, emotionally exhausted. I need time to process all of this. How much time do you need? I don't know. It could be weeks. It could be months. Maybe I'll never fully forgive. Marcus nodded, trying to hide his pain. I'll wait as long as it takes. And what if I decide I want you to stay away? Then I'll respect your choice. But I'll always be here for you and our child if you ever change your mind. Sophia looked at him for a long moment. Why did you risk getting hurt to save me today, after everything that happened? Because I love you, Marcus said simply. And because I'd rather die than see anything happen to you or our baby. Even knowing I might never forgive you? Even so, my love for you doesn't depend on you loving me back. Sophia closed her eyes, tears quietly falling. Marcus, I need you to leave now. I need to be alone to think. Marcus stood and walked toward the door. Sophia? Yes? Thank you for giving me the chance to tell the truth, and I'm sorry for everything. I know, she whispered. I'm sorry too for both of us. Marcus left the room with a broken heart, but knowing he had finally been completely honest with the woman he loved. 2 weeks after the accident, Marcus made the most radical decision of his life. He met with his lawyers and, against all advice, signed papers that changed everything. Mr. Chen, are you sure about this? Asked Dr. Harrison, his lawyer for 15 years. Once you sign, there's no turning back. I'm absolutely sure, Marcus said, initialing the last page. I want 80% of my fortune to go to a fund for underprivileged communities, focusing especially on technical education and rural development. And the other 20%? That stays in a separate account for my son's upbringing. Sophia will manage it until he turns 18. And your sister? She won't accept this quietly. Marcus sighed. Isabella has already shown what she's capable of. I'm ready for the consequences. The news exploded across Dallas business media. Billionaire heir gives up fortune. Marcus Chen donates billions to charity. CEO abandons family empire. Isabella saw the news in the Chen Industries office and exploded with anger. He's completely lost it, she shouted at the company lawyers. I have to stop him before he destroys everything our family built. Mrs. Chen, technically he has the legal right to do this. He's not mentally fit. Isabella interrupted. File a lawsuit questioning his mental sanity. No one in their right mind donates billions to a minor. Dr. Peterson, the company's senior lawyer, hesitated. Isabella, this is risky. If we lose, we won't lose. Gather evidence. Erratic behavior. lies, pretending to be someone else for months. Any judge will see he wasn't in a condition to make financial decisions. Sophia heard the news on the television. She was in her grandmother Maria's kitchen drinking tea when the local news started talking about Marcus. In a surprising decision, businessman Marcus Chen announced today he is donating most of his fortune to social projects focused on education and rural development. The reporter said as they showed footage of Marcus leaving the law office. Sophia almost dropped her cup. "Grandma, are you seeing this?" Grandma Maria moved closer to the TV. "That boy really went crazy in love with you." Chen said the fund will mainly be used to build technical schools in poor communities, exactly the kind of project his ex-girlfriend, Sofia Mendez, always dreamed of developing. The reporter continued. Sophia felt her chest tighten. Marcus was literally giving away his fortune to make her dreams come true. Sources close to the family reveal that Chen's sister, Isabella, is challenging the decision in court, claiming mental incompetence. "He's going to lose everything," Sophia whispered. "No," Grandma Maria said wisely. "He already lost what mattered most to him. Now he's trying to do something worthwhile." In the following days, the legal case became a media circus. Isabella presented evidence of Marcus's erratic behavior, lies about his identity, abandoning the company, irrational financial decisions. Marcus did not contest any of it. He showed up in court wearing simple clothes without expensive lawyers, defending himself. "Your Honor," he said to the judge, "I know my actions may seem irrational to those who value money above all else, but for the first time in my life, I am making decisions based on what is right, not what is profitable." "Mr. Chen," the judge asked, "are you aware you are giving up billions of dollars?" "I am, and I would do it again. Money has never made me happy. I hope it can bring dignity and opportunities to people who really deserve it." Sophia watched everything on TV crying. Grandma Maria sat beside her, watching her granddaughter. "He's doing this for you, you know," the elder said softly. "He's destroying himself for me," Sophia answered. "No, he's rebuilding himself. He's becoming the man you saw in him from the start." "But Grandma, what if I can't forgive him? What if it's too late?" Grandma Maria turned to Sophia with that wise look only older people have. "Child, in my 78 years I've learned one thing. True love is rare. Rarer than gold, more precious than diamonds. That boy is literally giving everything he has to prove he loves you." "But he lied to me." "Yes, he lied, and he's paying the price. But look at him now." Grandma Maria pointed at the TV. "He's risking everything, standing up to his own family, being humiliated in public. That's not the behavior of a liar. That's the behavior of a man in love trying to make things right." Sophia touched her belly, where the baby was growing. "What if he hurts our baby like he hurt me?" "Child, everyone makes mistakes. The question is, did he learn from his? Because from what I see, that man is not the same who lied to you. He has changed." Sophia looked at the television, where Marcus was leaving the courthouse under a shower of camera flashes and harsh questions. He looked tired, but determined. "What do you think I should do, Grandma?" "I think you should go talk to him. Not to forgive right away, but to see with your own eyes who he has become. That baby deserves to know his father. And you deserve an honest answer about whether you still love that man." Sophia sighed, knowing her grandmother was right. "What if it's too late? What if he gives up on me?" Grandma Maria smiled. "Dear, did you see that man on TV? He won't give up on you, not even if he lives 100 years. The question isn't if he still loves you. The question is if you still love him." Sophia closed her eyes, feeling the baby move inside her. Deep down, she already knew the answer. The question was if she had the courage to admit it. Sophia drove to Marcus's house 3 times before finally having the courage to ring the doorbell. She was 4 months pregnant, and her belly was starting to show under the simple dress she wore. Marcus opened the door and for a moment was silent, as if he couldn't believe she was there. "Sophia?" he said softly, as if afraid she might disappear. "Hi, Marcus. Can I come in? We need to talk." "Of course." He stepped back quickly, nervous. "Want some water? Tea? Something to eat?" "I'm fine." Sophia stepped inside and looked around. The mansion that used to intimidate her now seemed just like an empty, cold house. "I watched the trial on TV." "Oh," Marcus made a face. "That must have been awkward to watch." "Actually, it was brave." Sophia sat on the living room couch. You gave up everything. Not everything. I still have enough to live comfortably, and I set aside money for our son. Marcus, you didn't have to do that. Not because of me. I didn't do it for you. He sat down in the chair across from her, keeping a respectful distance. I did it for myself. For the first time in my life, I used my money for something that really matters. Sophia studied him. He looked different. Thinner, with dark circles under his eyes, but there was something in his eyes she hadn't seen before. Maybe peace? How are you? She asked. Better than I thought. It's strange, but I feel free. Without the weight of the company, expectations, money. For the first time, I can just be me. And who are you without all that? Marcus smiled sadly. I'm still figuring that out, but I hope to be someone worthy of being our baby's father. Sophia touched her belly without thinking. Marcus, I didn't come here to get back together. I know. I'm still hurt. I'm still scared to trust again. I understand. But, Sophia hesitated. But our son deserves to know his father, and you deserve a chance to be a father. Marcus's heart raced. What does that mean? It means we can try to be friends. For the baby. See how things go. Friends, Marcus repeated, as if testing the word. That's all I can offer right now. Then I accept, he said immediately. I accept anything you give me. They talked for 2 hours. Marcus shared his plans for the charity fund, how he wanted to be involved in the pregnancy, his fears about being a dad. Sophia spoke about the pregnancy, how the community reacted to his donation, her own fears. When Sophia stood to leave, Marcus walked her to the door. Sophia, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think someday maybe we could try again? Sophia looked at him for a long moment. I don't know, Marcus. Honestly, I don't know. That's okay. Friends are a start. It is, she agreed. In the days that followed, Sophia couldn't stop thinking about one thing that bothered her. Even though Marcus had lied about who he was, something about those photos of the supposed engagement didn't make sense. She knew Marcus well enough to know he wouldn't hide a 2-year engagement. The more she thought about it, the more suspicious she became of Isabella. On Thursday, Sophia made an impulsive decision. She drove to the Chen Industries building, determined to confront Isabella and demand answers. I want to speak with Isabella Chen, she told the receptionist. Do you have an appointment? No, but it's about Marcus Chen. It's urgent. The receptionist hesitated, then said, 30th floor, last door on the right. Sophia took the elevator with her heart pounding. When she reached the floor, she heard voices coming from Isabella's office. The door was slightly open. Are you sure you destroyed all the evidence? Isabella's voice. Yes, Mrs. Chen. All emails were deleted, receipts discarded, a man's voice answered. Sophia hid next to the door, listening. And the original photos? Isabella asked. All of them are here in this folder. No edits, just like you asked. If anyone compares these with the ones shown to the prospector, they'll see the difference right away. Perfect. We're going to burn everything. There can't be any proof left that we forged those images. Sophia felt a chill run down her spine. They were talking about evidence of lies. And the detective? The man asked. Rodrigo has already been paid to stay quiet. And the woman we hired to pretend to be Victoria Hamilton in the photos, too. Do you think Marcus might find out anything? Not if we destroy everything today. No proof means it's his word against mine. Sophia heard footsteps coming closer to the door. She quickly hid behind a column in the hallway. Isabella came out with a man in a suit, carrying a brown folder. They headed to the elevators, speaking quietly. Sophia waited until they disappeared, then went inside Isabella's office. The room was messy, with papers scattered over the desk. She quickly searched for something she could use as evidence. That's when she saw it. On the desk, a second brown folder, identical to the one Isabella had taken. Inside were photos. Marcus alone at social events, no women beside him. At the edges of the photos, Sophia could see marks where other people had been digitally added. There were also payment receipts for a graphic editor, printed emails between Isabella and someone named Victoria H. Fake, and even a contract with a detective Rodrigo for investigative services and creating fake evidence. My God, Sophia whispered, flipping through the documents. She forged everything. Sophia grabbed the entire folder and quickly left the office. In the elevator, her hands trembled, holding the proof of Isabella's lies. An hour later, Sophia was at Marcus's house, spreading the documents on the living room table. She forged everything, Sophia said, showing the original photos. The engagement, Victoria Hamilton, it was all made up to separate us. Marcus looked at the evidence, a mix of anger and relief on his face. Marcus, this changes everything. Isabella lied on purpose to manipulate me. Sophia, do you understand what this means? It means I was a fool, Sophia said, tears starting to fall. It means I believed a lie and almost destroyed our chance at happiness. No, Marcus took her hands. It means you were a victim of a cruel manipulation, just like me. What do we do now? We go to court. Isabella can't get away with what she did. 2 days later, Sophia and Marcus were in court presenting the evidence to the judge. Isabella looked pale, clearly not expecting her lies to be exposed. Mrs. Chen, the judge addressed Isabella, how do you explain this evidence of forgery and deliberate manipulation? I can explain. Isabella stammered. We have receipts in your name paying for digital photo editing, emails about creating fake profiles, and a contract for creating fake evidence, all with your signature. Sophia stood up. Your Honor, may I speak? You may, Mrs. Mendez. Isabella Chen sent her secretary to contact me, pretending to be a reporter. She showed me forged photos and fake documents about an engagement that never happened. She destroyed my relationship based on calculated lies. And what impact did this have, Mrs. Mendez? I'm 4 months pregnant. Because of her lies, I almost kept my son from knowing his father. I almost destroyed a man who, despite his mistakes, always truly loved me. The judge banged the gavel. I rule the mental incompetence case against Marcus Chen dismissed. Isabella Chen will answer for forgery, defamation, and fraud. Isabella left the courtroom in custody, her plan finally falling apart. Outside, Sophia and Marcus walked silently. Thank you, Marcus said, for finding the truth, for standing up for me. Sophia stopped and looked at him. Marcus, I still need time to process everything, but now I know you never betrayed me. I know Isabella was the one behind it all. And does that make a difference? Sophia touched her belly. It does. Our child deserves parents who love each other, and I still love you. Marcus felt tears well up. Sophia? But let's take it slow, okay? 1 step at a time. As many steps as you want, Marcus agreed. I have my whole life to prove I deserve your trust. Sophia smiled. Then let's start with a coffee. No lies this time. No lies, Marcus promised. Never again. 3 months after the trial, Sophia was 8 months pregnant when Marcus made the request that would change everything forever. They were on Sophia's porch, watching the sunset. Marcus had become part of her routine, taking her to medical appointments, helping with the prospecting when she allowed it, and slowly earning back her trust. Sophia, Marcus said, turning to her. I need to tell you something. What is it? She asked, gently touching her belly. These last few months have been the best of my life, not because of the money I donated or the changes I made, but because I learned what really matters. Marcus, let me finish. He knelt down in front of her, taking a simple ring out of his pocket. Sophia Mendez, will you marry me? Not Marcus Chen, the billionaire. Me, the man who loves you more than life itself. Sophia looked at the ring, a modest solitaire, pretty without being flashy, then into his eyes, full of hope and fear. Marcus, are you sure? After everything? I'm sure I want to spend the rest of my life proving I deserve you. I want our child to grow up in a family built on true love. Yes, Sophia said, tears falling. Yes, I want to marry you. Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger with trembling hands and kissed her like it was the first time. But I have conditions, Sophia said as they pulled apart. Anything. Total honesty. Forever. No lies, no secrets. I promise. A simple life, no showiness. I promise. And our child will learn the value of simple things. I promise it all. Marcus kissed her again. I love you, Sophia. The real Marcus loves you. The wedding took place 2 weeks later, a touching ceremony at the community church. Sophia, 9 months pregnant, wore a simple dress that showed her natural beauty. Marcus stood at the altar, nervous but glowing. Do you, Sophia, take Marcus Chen to be your husband, to love and respect him in sickness and in health, in wealth and in poverty? The pastor asked. Yes, I do, Sophia said, her eyes shining. And you, Marcus, do you take Sophia to be your wife, promising to honor and protect her every day of your life? Yes, I do, Marcus said, his voice choked with emotion. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. The kiss was long and passionate, sealing not only their marriage, but the triumph of true love over all lies and manipulation. 5 days after the wedding, Sophia went into labor in the middle of the night. "Marcus!" she shouted from the bed. "It's time!" Marcus woke up in total panic. "Now, what do I do?" "Take a deep breath and get me to the hospital." On the way, Marcus drove like crazy, talking nonstop to calm himself more than Sophia. "It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay." "Marcus!" Sophia yelled through a contraction. "Stop talking and drive." At the hospital, after 8 hours of labor, Miguel was finally born. When the doctor placed the baby in Sophia's arms, silence filled the room. "Look at him, Marcus," Sophia whispered, tears falling. "Our son." Marcus touched Miguel's tiny face, completely overwhelmed. "He's perfect. Absolutely perfect." "Hi, Miguel," Sophia murmured. "I'm your mommy, and this crybaby here is your daddy." "And I promise you, my son," Marcus said, his voice breaking with emotion, "I will always tell you the truth. I will always protect you, and I will always love your mother more than anything." Miguel opened his eyes for the first time and looked straight at his father. Marcus broke down in tears. "He looked at me, Sophia. Our son looked at me." "He knows you're his dad," Sophia smiled. "He knows he is loved." 2 weeks later, while they were at home adjusting to their new routine, they got an unexpected visit. Isabella showed up at the door, thin and humble, very different from the proud woman she had been months ago. "Can I come in?" she asked hesitantly. "I know I don't deserve it." But Sophia looked at Marcus, who nodded. "Isabella," Marcus said, "what do you want?" "I came to apologize, from the heart, and to meet my nephew." "Isabella, you almost destroyed our family," Sophia said, but without anger in her voice. "I know, and I'll carry that guilt for the rest of my life." Isabella stepped closer to the crib where Miguel was sleeping. "But looking at him, at both of you, I understand now what true love is." "And what do you plan to do now?" Marcus asked. "Rebuild my life, from scratch. No lies, no manipulation. I've learned that money without love is worth nothing." Sophia stood up and, to everyone's surprise, hugged Isabella. "I forgive you," she said. "Not for what you did, but because everyone deserves a second chance." Isabella cried in Sophia's arms. "Thank you. I don't deserve it, but thank you." "Miguel will need an aunt," Sophia said, stepping back. "If you're willing to be a better person." "I am," Isabella promised. "I swear I am." 6 months later, on a Sunday afternoon, the family was gathered on the porch. Sophia was nursing Miguel while Marcus read the news about the foundation's projects he had started. "The first technical school will open next week," he said. "It will help more than 200 families in the area." "Your dad would be proud," Sophia told Miguel. "He's changing the world, one project at a time." Grandma Maria arrived carrying a pie. "How are my boys?" "Happy, Grandma," Sophia smiled. "Completely happy." Isabella showed up next, bringing a gift for Miguel. Over the last few months, she had become a constant and welcome presence in the family. "How's my favorite nephew?" she said, making faces at the baby. "He's your only nephew," Marcus laughed. "Then he's definitely the favorite." Isabella joked. Watching his family, beautiful and happy Sophia, healthy growing Miguel, Isabella becoming a better person, Grandma Maria smiling, Marcus remembered the time he pretended to be Mike Santos, desperate to find true love. "What are you thinking about?" Sophia asked, noticing his distant look. "I'm thinking it was worth it," Marcus said. "Every lie, every pain, every mistake, it was all worth it to get here. Even the bad parts, especially the bad parts, they taught me the value of what I have now." Sophia leaned in and kissed him gently. "I love you, Marcus Chen, the real Marcus Chen. And I love you, Sophia Chen," he replied. "Forever." Miguel chose that moment to give his first little laugh, as if he understood he was part of the most beautiful love story in the world. And so, on a simple porch of a simple home, with a family that had almost been destroyed by lies, but was rebuilt with truth, Marcus finally found what he had always been looking for. True love, genuine happiness, and the certainty that sometimes you have to lose everything to discover what really matters. What did you think of Marcus and Sophia's story? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to follow all our stories, and don't miss more emotional stories